One, two, 1, 2, 3, and... And with that, we welcome you to the Selection Saturday Kickoff show right here on both Facebook and YouTube. And as we were getting set to start the show, I must point out 3 noteworthy news stories. One that happened this past Tuesday involving a mass shooting at Morgan State University. And while I don't know all the specifics, I do know that they were supposed to have a football game this Saturday against Stony Brook. Well, that game has been canceled. From what I did read, there is a manhunt in progress. The suspect in question has not been caught yet. I believe there were 5 victims in this mass shooting. But again, it was nothing more than a quick skim read on my part. That's one story. Number 2, and I just learned this a short time ago. Pat Fitzgerald, the former head coach of the Northwestern Wildcats, is suing the university for $130 million. That, too, is another one I don't know all the specifics of because it just came off the wire. And the one that jumped out at me today, I didn't have to get it from ESPN. I got it from our very own athletic director at W&J College, Mr. Scott McGinnis, who I know is watching. There is talk, and it may very well be nothing more than just talk. There was some speculation, some rumor that Urban Meyer and might consider the head coaching job at Michigan State, a school that prides itself on one thing and one thing only. Those who fail at history are doomed to repeat it. Michigan State has been in the news for all the wrong reasons. And it's now turning into a laundry list. And if you're following Michigan State, first off, you're a brave soul for doing so. Number 2, get the heck away from it. Like I did with Northwestern, get the heck away from it. It's going to get worse before it gets better. So just get away from it. Let all the malcontents be weeded out. Every single last one of them. It's been a very strange college football news day. And this is just over a period of 3 days. But that's not why we're here. We are here to give you some more picks. And we're doing it in helmet form tonight. Originally what the plan was I was going to put all of the chips in the pot for Saturday. Mainly because a lot of teams are on bye weeks this week. Among them, Oregon, Washington, Pitt, Penn State, West Virginia, all off this week. And I suppose in a sense that's good. Particularly if you're Pitt, because you need to find your footing. You got a gauntlet awaiting for you on the way back from your bye week. Louisville, Notre Dame, Florida State, Duke. I don't think you're making a bowl game this year. And you're probably not going to be on the tree either. Prove me wrong, Narduzzi. Prove me wrong. Anyway, we do have picks to make for what I believe is week 6 or week 7? I think it's week 6, is it not? Suppose we can look it up right now. Yeah, we got to break out the iPod just this one time. Yep, week 6. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So week 6 comes calling, and it's already underway as of this past Wednesday night. Jacksonville State having beaten Middle Tennessee and scoring 38 unanswered points in a 45-30 come-from-behind win over Middle Tennessee. Jacksonville State now 5-1 and needs only one more win for bowl eligibility. In fact, now that I think about it, as long as we're talking bowl eligibility, I'm going to run off the names. And I was doing this last year. I was keeping track of all the 5-win teams that are all in line for a bowl bid and a spot on my helmet tree for Christmas. All of these teams need one win, and this is going to sound like school cancellations, but here we go. We're going to run them off one by one. Louisville, Kentucky, Penn State, USC, James Madison, Maryland, Georgia, Michigan, Texas, Missouri, Oregon, Oklahoma, Notre Dame, Air Force, Washington, Fresno State, and just added to the list, Jacksonville State. So all of those schools that I mentioned have 5 wins already, and almost all of them are undefeated too, with the exceptions of South Dakota. What the hell? South Dakota. I need a teleprompter and fast. Can you get me one, please? Jacksonville State and Notre Dame. South Dakota. Come on, man. And, we do have breaking news. This just came off the wire. Dick Butkus, Hall of Fame legend, the monster behind the monsters of the Midway, has just died at the age of 80. Typically mild-mannered off the field, the man was every bit the monster on it. And it shows in every highlight film. The man was a savage beast. This was back when football was football. Not this ticky-tacky, like the NFL is right now. That's why I love college football. College football, you can do the things that the NFL can't. Nevertheless, as if Chicago doesn't need any, they need something positive. The Chicago Bears are just an absolute train wreck. Up until learning the news of Butkus having now just passed away. Earlier in the day, I learned that Chicago had lost 14 straight games. And I believe it's by, 25 points or more or something like that? But Chicago is playing the Washington Commanders tonight. So it is not a great day to be a Chicago sports fan. That is... wow. We haven't even gotten started on the picks yet, and already we've been on top of 4 news stories already. I don't think this was not in the script. But this is why, at some point you just take a look at the TV and just... if something hits you, and it hits you hard, or it hits you regardless of impact, yeah, it's newsworthy. If it strikes a chord with you and it hits at the very heart of you, yeah, it's newsworthy. So, now what did I do with my index cards? Oh, here we go again. Here we go again. What did I do with them? There will be a short delay while we get the cards. What did I do with them? Here we go. Lanyard selections will be done tomorrow. They've already been written down. As the case is with this one here, we have I believe, 34 games to pick from and 34 helmets to present to you all. So why don't we get off the news box and get to picking here. We're going to start things off with Boston College. Here we go again. Boston College and Army. And this is very, very interesting here. I was looking at the records. Now, Boston College, 2-3. Could they be gaining traction? And Army, I believe, is what, 2-2 or 3-2 or something like that? It's one of those games that could go either way. It's being played at West Point. And you know, you have that soft spot for the service academies, and I do. And I'm trying to decide on whether or not I should pick, you know, Army, Air Force, Navy, Air Force, definitely the Army-Navy game, and just leave those alone and never to pick them. But in an instance like this, Boston College and Army, somebody has to continue to gain traction. And Boston College, I fear, even if they beat Army, it's going to be tough sledding ahead when they get back into the business of conference play. For now, though, it's going to be close. But I am going to go with Boston College. Probably by 1, 2, maybe 3 points, who knows. But I'm going to go with Boston College to beat Army. Toledo and UMass. This is an easy one. Of course, I say that, and you know me and my penchant for Mid-American Conference teams. We actually did pretty good last week. So I pretty much know that Ohio, Toledo, and Miami of Ohio are the teams to watch in the conference. And since UMass hasn't done diddly since the first week of the season, got to go with Toledo. Got to go with Toledo. And I'm thinking they're going to be probably punching their ticket early for a spot in the Mid-American Conference Championship game in Detroit. So something to keep in mind going forward. I meant to include this as a lanyard selection. And I suppose, yeah, I mean, it's going to be on the ACC network, but the only reason why this is not a lanyard selection is that I do not have a lanyard for William and Mary, who are playing Virginia. So in that particular instance, we have to, the game in essence is demoted to a helmet selection, so no big deal. Still got to pick the winner, right? Virginia, time to catch fire. This would be a good time to do it, but I'm going to warn you. William and Mary is not your typical FCS cupcake. They're a very good football team. I know this because they were an FCS playoff team a year ago, and they got off to a good start this year. And this is the first time this year I think I've done picking a game involving William and Mary. I think. Nevertheless, I'm going to take the Cavaliers at home over William and Mary, and that too should probably be a close game also, I'd imagine. So now we go to Western Michigan and Mississippi State. Yes, Starkville, I got a fever, and the only prescription is more cowbell and a Mississippi State victory on top of it. If Western Michigan should somehow beat Mississippi State, well, I'll wear the lanyard at the start of next week. I'll sport it on one of my work days. So I'm holding myself to that, and all of you out there are doing the same thing, I'm hoping. Rutgers and Wisconsin. They're red, they're white, they play football, and my only concern is who's going to wear the reds, who's going to rock the whites. Good thing this isn't a Rose Bowl matchup, because that whole bowl would be filled with red, kind of like what happened the one year when Stanford and Wisconsin went. That whole bowl was just a giant amoeba of red. But Rutgers, I want you guys to win so bad, but I can't find it in my heart to pick you. And like a lot of these teams in conference play, Pitt is one. There's another one, and I can't put my finger on who it is, but there are some teams that are going to run through the gauntlet of teams with better records, probably in the top 25, like Pitt. And Rutgers might be heading down that road against the more stiffer competition of the Big Ten. So unfortunately, Rutgers, as much as I want to pick you guys, I have to ride with Wisconsin. And if it makes you feel any better, I'm thinking that one's going to be close. There's going to be some close ones this week. And now that I think about it, given the fact that Buffalo played Akron in overtime and beat the Zips last week, Buffalo this time is hosting Central Michigan. I don't think there's going to be such good fortunes for the Buffalo Bulls this time. Not when you got the Chippewas coming to town. So I'm going to ride with Central Michigan. They need to start winning and fast. And Buffalo, I think, is pretty much going to find themselves bringing up the rear with Akron. At least you got a tiebreaker on the Zips. Moving right along. I've always wanted to do a game pick involving the Citadel, and I've done it. The next goal is to hopefully find a game to pick involving the Citadel and picking them. However, this week they're at Furman, and Furman, I believe, is in the top 10 in the FCS rankings. So guess what, Citadel? I don't think you're going to win this one either. So we're taking the Paladins over the Bulldogs, which now brings us to UTSA and Temple. And I'm a little bit shocked at this. Temple actually has one more win than UTSA. What happened? Did the Coyote catch the Roadrunners this time? Did they? Here's your chance for a great escape. You got Temple. You're on the road. Find your footing. Find your traction. Find it deep within the cockles of your heart. And beat the Owls. Taking UTSA. We are now at another FCS game involving Tennessee State and Kennesaw State. Well, this was another one where I looked at the records and I thought, any other time I'd pick Kennesaw State just to say, yay, I picked Kennesaw State. There's one problem. They've only won 4 in their first 5. And it's going to be 1 in the first 6. We're going to take Tennessee State. And perhaps maybe the surprise of the FCS right now, South Dakota and Murray State. This will be an easy one because Murray State's just not all that great. We're going with South Dakota. They're a team that I think if you follow the FCS, you better watch them. Simply because they stole a win on the road at North Dakota State last week. And something tells me there's going to be it's already going to be a big one. You get South Dakota and South Dakota State, and you better hide the women and children and farm animals for that one, because that's going to be awesome. South Dakota over Murray State. Tennessee Martin in Eastern Illinois. Eastern Illinois, I don't get to pick a game very much with, because a lot of the opponents they play I don't have helmets or lanyards for. But when I looked at the records of the two teams, being Tennessee Martin and Eastern Illinois, I looked at it and thought, well, no time like the present to pick Eastern Illinois. They're 4-1. They might be in the conversation, possibly. I mean, they're on the outskirts of the top 25 right now, but hey, you just never know. It's possible. They might sneak in there. And at least I could say I'll be ready to put them on the Christmas tree if they make the playoffs. That is a prerequisite. Any FCS team, out of all the helmets that I have from FCS teams, if you're in the postseason, you're on the tree. We've been working hard trying to get as many as we can get. The goal is to have all the playoff teams for the FCS to go with all the bowl teams in the FBS. So, just so you know. Moving right along, Washington State ranked number 13 in the country. I'm wearing bifocal lenses. It's tough to read. But anyway, it's my own printing. I get good compliments on my penmanship. Leave me alone. Washington State and UCLA. Well, this isn't exactly Ryan Leaf at the Rose Bowl, is it? No. It is, however, my uncle's alma mater against one of my favorite coaches, Chip Kelly, and his UCLA Bruins. Of course, Chip being a former Oregon Duck head man. Sorry, Chip. I gotta go with family on this one. Cougs! Back to the MAC. Northern Illinois and Akron. Well, this will be an easy one. But if you blow this Northern Illinois, I'm going to have to do for Akron what I might be doing for Western Michigan, and that's wear their lanyard. You better take care of business on the road. If Buffalo can beat Akron, so can you. Now, I'm trying to give them moral support here. Sometimes you just got to light a fire in them, you know? Staying in the MAC, Ball State and Eastern Michigan. Two schools at a crossroads here. We're not sure where Ball State's going, but I do know where Eastern Michigan could potentially go if they don't beat Ball State. It's strange how the last 2 weeks have been. Losing a game they were supposed to win and winning a game they should have lost, I thought. Problem is, I don't remember the opponents, but I know what happened the last 2 weeks. And now they're back home on the gray turf, which for those of you who don't follow Eastern Michigan, if you've ever watched one of their home games, it's like watching it on a black and white television. Don't adjust your sets. I like Eastern Michigan in this one. I do. Especially this sharp green helmet. Wear those every week, will you please? I mean, the white ones are okay, the gray ones are okay. I'm not from the fashion police. I just know what works. And that's why I'll tell you what. Let me look at this really quick here. Okay. Let's take care of these next two picks here while the getting's good. Miami of Ohio hosting Bowling Green. Sorry about that. Getting one pick ahead of myself. Bowling Green is my kryptonite in the MAC. If I pick them, they lose. If I pick against them, they win. Miami of Ohio, the last I checked, is 4-1. And if they lose to Bowling Green, something's... Am I going to have to make it 3 for 3? Western Michigan, Akron, and Bowling Green? I'm rolling the dice. Going with Miami. North Texas over Navy. I'm a little torn with this one. And again, it goes back to the pick involving Army against Boston College. I want to root for all the service academies. After all, they've been doing a great job of protecting us and preserving our freedom that we know is ours. So, it's a tough one here, especially considering that Navy is playing at home in Annapolis, North Texas. Depending upon the season, they're either they can be a good team or they could be a bad team. Not very bad or very good, just kind of borderline-ish. I am going to take a chance And here I go rooting against the service academies this week. And if I remember correctly, I think Air Force is off this week too. I think. I'm looking. I don't see them on either of the cards here. But we're going to go with North Texas and the old school white helmet, because I don't think the black one shows up too well. I don't know if you could see it on your screens out there. But speaking of helmets, we got Ohio, the Bobcats, and Kent. It would be easy for me to break out the more traditional Ohio ones, but this is the one that I love right here. This is a sharp Ohio Bobcat pocket helmet. So much so, here you go. Got the Mid-American Conference logo on the back of it. Got the Bobcats nameplate on the back bumper there. And this was done in 2022. And, oh yeah, I'd be remiss if I didn't, I guess we're going to have to blow this up somehow. We got the Bobcat, I don't think you'll be able to see it, it's too blurry. But you got the Bobcat logo on the front bumper as well. So we're going to ride with the Bobcats over Kent. God, we're coming up on 30 minutes already. We got another long show here. And we still got half the picks to go. All right. Purdue and Iowa. Iowa, do me a favor. Score some points. It ain't that hard. Huh. Purdue's trying to gain traction. You, Iowa, have to stop that traction from becoming more comfortable. You got the defense. Shut them down. Going with the Hawkeyes. Here's a good one here. Texas State and the Ragin' Cajuns of Louisiana. I'm almost one to think that Louisiana's got an iconic helmet here. You know, it's one that you don't want to change. I mean, they wear black ones. I think they wear white ones, but the traditional red, heck, you got to go with the Ragin' Cajuns. Texas State, though, I think is going to give them some problems, but Louisiana always seems to catch fire once they get into conference play, and it's full steam ahead for those guys. So we'll see what happens. In what game was it last week? Was it Maine and Stony Brook? Or was it another opponent? I can't remember who it was. I think it was Stony Brook and Maine, and I picked Stony Brook, and Maine just kicked the living crap out of Stony Brook. Maine is playing Richmond. Arachnophobia in progress for 60 minutes. That's all I ask of you, Richmond. Just, release the spiders. Just doesn't sound right as releasing the hounds. Where I come from, though, we let the dogs loose and everybody starts barking. Vanderbilt in Florida. Well, guess what, Florida? Picking you was a mistake last week. Your run defense got shredded by Ray Davis and the Kentucky Wildcats. Now, you have a chance to redeem yourself this week against a Vanderbilt team that's coming into your house at the Swamp with a 2-4 record. You had better get the job done this time. Because if not, remember that hot seat I was talking about? With Billy Napier? It's going to be like a furnace. Take care of business, Florida. Remember, you don't back down. Where are we here? Arkansas State and Troy. Got to go with the Trojans. I got nothing for that one. Albany, yes. Reese Poffenbarger is back for this week. Albany and the Great Danes. The Great Danes. I finally got it right this time. The Great Danes of Albany against the Towson Tigers, who presented me another loss. And I can't remember who it was they beat last week, because I don't have the cards in front of me. Usually when I get done with a particular week's cards, I pitch them, never to be seen again. But this is a tricky one here, because both teams are kind of rounding into form a little bit. There's still some work to do for both sides. I don't know if either of them are going to be playoff worthy. So you almost want to kind of look at this as an early, no, not an early, a mid-season elimination game. So I never thought I would go this route. But we're going to go with Mr. Poffenbarger and his Great Danes over Towson. And if by chance I'm wrong on that one, well, guess what? I should be writing this stuff down. Let's see, Western Michigan. Forget it. We'll just play the tape. We'll know what to do. How about this? Winless UConn and the Rice Owls. Oh, Rice. Rice. That team from Houston who decided to go old school Houston Oiler colors last week. Oh. And I'm not just talking the ones that I grew up on. I'm talking like late 60s, early 70s Houston colors. Yeah. I'm not impressed. Good tribute though. I'll give you that one. I'll give you half the points for that one. But I'm still I'm still in the process of completing a transaction in which I got what I believe are 2 new Rice helmets coming from my main man, Mr. Kevin Martin, my helmet guy. And by the way, his NC State Wolfpack are hosting Marshall. I'll give you the pick on that tomorrow. Meantime, I'm going to ride with the Rice Owls. And think of it this way. You're just 2 steps closer to becoming bowl eligible. And this time, you won't have to go to a bowl game with a 5-7 record. So, we're taking Rice. We're over the half-hour mark, and we still got picks to be made. Incarnate Word. Yes, UIW. Hosting Southeast Louisiana. And it is my honor and privilege to give you the proper word. I think for future reference, I'm going to see if I can't get a black one. They do have a black one, I do know. I almost gave you guys the finger. Sorry about that. That wasn't planned, I promise. Tulsa and FAU. Tulsa coming off of a win last week. I don't see their fortunes changing for the worse this week. Got to go on the road, take care of business, got to ride with the Hurricane. And now that brings us to Colorado. Let's just go ahead and get out of the way. Colorado over Arizona State. That's it. South Alabama and Louisiana Monroe. The Jags against the Warhawks. This one could go either way, too. And the thing that bugs me about this is that, yeah, I know it's conference play now. I mean, those records look very deceiving, but once conference play kicks in, that's where the contenders and the pretenders get separated. So I'm riding a Jag. Okay, maybe not that Jag, but I'm riding with the Jags this week to go on the road and steal one on the Warhawks. And that'll be all she wrote for that game. Old Dominion. Guys, I'm gonna let you in on something. Wasn't that long ago. In fact, it was last year. Last year. They broke out some hot spanking I'm not even sure if I'm guessing they're sky blue football helmets. I'm currently in discussions on getting at least one, maybe two of them made, but here's the kicker. Old Dominion, the ball's in your court. You must win 6 games in order for you to not only be bowl eligible, but to be on the tree too. I want you on that tree. We got to show you off to the world. And with that, I'm going to go with the Monarchs. This is the only one that I feel that's TV worthy, I suppose. I mean, we are on YouTube, we are on Facebook, so there you go. This, by the way, is now the longest episode in the history of the Selection Saturday Kickoff show. And to think we have so few games this week. We didn't go into any rapid fire. Not that we need to. Okay, Arkansas and number 16 Ole Miss. Arkansas, you disappoint me. You have disappointed me. The record speaks for itself. If you steal a win on Lane Kiffin's Rebels, I might just forgive you. But until then, the way things are looking right now, I am willing to bet that with LSU having 2 losses already, Ole Miss could find themselves possibly playing in a New Year's Day bowl game, providing that they win out. And I just can't see them in the college football playoff. There's too many teams to climb over. But it'll be just like last year. Only they won't go to the Sugar Bowl. I think they would probably... It's got to be either the Fiesta or the Orange or the Cotton. I'm not sure how the sequence goes on a yearly basis when they rotate the bowls when it comes to the playoff. This year, by the way, the college football playoff semifinals are at the Rose Bowl and the Sugar Bowl. And Ole Miss, I'm picking you. It's okay. Just picking you this week, that's all I'm doing. Not like I'm going to talk smack on Lane Kiffin like I do at any other time. This is more about Arkansas not getting their act together. They need to. Just consider reverse psychology. Meanwhile, San Jose State and Boise State. Boise State, you disappoint me. Come on, I'm wearing this Las Vegas Bowl shirt with your Broncos in my Ducks. And I promise I'll wear something other than this or my Alamo Bowl shirt that Oregon appeared in a couple years ago when they lost to Oklahoma. Need not worry. I got a couple jerseys I can sport for next week. But in the meantime, Boise State playing host to San Jose State. I'm not sure on the records, but I know San Jose State isn't the team that I thought they were going to be. And Boise State, I don't want you falling into that same trap that San Jose State did. You're playing on the blue turf. Take care of business. Wear these. Remind yourself from where you came from. Remember the Fiesta Bowl against Oklahoma? We all did, and we freaking loved it. Hands down the greatest bowl game that I had ever seen. Hands down. Regardless of the teams involved or what stakes were, on the line. For David to slay Goliath the way Boise State did to Oklahoma was something that I will never, ever, ever forget. 4 more picks left. Whew. All right, here we go. Colorado State and Utah State. There's a part of me that really wants to pick Colorado State. It's just a question of which Colorado State team shows up. The one that hung tough against Colorado only for a lack of discipline to get in the way and lose the game against Colorado, or the one that rebounded nicely and beat Middle Tennessee last week. And then there's Utah State, a team that I grew to like in the last couple of years. And I'm just, that Mountain West Conference is so difficult anyway. With Air Force, with Fresno State, with Wyoming. San Diego State would have been name-checked in that list, but they've kind of fallen off the radar just a little bit. But Utah State, if there was ever a time to start a win streak, this would be a good place to do it. So I'm going to ride with Utah State over Colorado State. So now we have 3 more to go. Check the card real quick here. What the heck am I doing with Fresno State's helmet? We're not picking them until tomorrow. Sorry about that. So we only have 2 picks left. Okay, the last one from the FCS, Northern... I almost said Illinois. At least I didn't say North Alabama. Northern Arizona and Weber State. I almost want to think of Northern Arizona as a FCS version of a Mid-American Conference team. Kind of like Bowling Green. You just don't know what you're going to get. Weber State, meanwhile, do we really... You know what? I haven't gone to the... mobile device, the iPod. I'm trying to see exactly... Okay. I gave you news reports to start the show. I'm going to give you a score right now while the getting's good. Liberty's up 7-0 on Sam Houston. 7:35 left in the first quarter in that one. Western Kentucky and Louisiana Tech getting underway a little over a half hour from now. So, where is... Oh, there it is. Northern Arizona and Weber State. Weber State 3-2. Northern Arizona 1-4. And that pretty much told me all I needed to know, apart from the fact that Weber State's playing at home. But if Northern Arizona wins, I do have a Northern Arizona lanyard, and I'll be happy to sport it should they beat Weber State. So, oh yeah, present the helmet, Brandon. That's your job. Weber State. And last but not least, Oregon State and Cal. The Beavers and the Bears. Oh, boy. The only way Cal can beat Oregon State is if Aaron Rodgers would go to the Fountain of Youth and get his injuries all healed up so he can pick apart the Beavers. But sadly, that's not the case. As much as I hate to do this, being that I'm a Duck fan, we're taking Oregon State over Cal. And that, friends, Romans, countrymen, athletic directors, football players, football coaches, and everybody in between. From all of me to all of you, this has been the Selection Saturday Kickoff Show. Hope you enjoyed it with all the helmet selections coming up tomorrow, the lanyard selections, including the big ones involving LSU and Missouri, Notre Dame and Louisville, Kentucky and Georgia, and Oklahoma and Texas. Until then, Brandon Rutherman signing off. So long.